All right, we're glad to have Rick now that he's got seated in here, and we just showed the pictures of Rick's cars on here. And you know, I took those pictures when I was track photographer, but I could not remember why and how come he had two different cars in 1 year, because this was both 1988. So now that we got the man, the driver here, we're going to ask him to explain these. And we laid them here. He's got a picture of the blue car that you've seen and the white car. Rick, what is the reason for that?
Blue car got hit in the cross in the figure eight. My brother-in-law at the time was driving it, Dwayne Hammer Talley, and then built the white car after the blue and got it tore it up so bad there wasn't no fixing it. Well,
and that's a good reason to fix them if you got hit in the 8. Now, who was the guy that hit you in the 8?
It was Kenneth Kinzer.
Kenneth Kinzer driving the lucky number 13. Why a man would want to run the figure 8 and put a 13 on his car? You know that's the guy that's going to hit you, I'm telling you. And Kenneth, if you're listening, I'm sorry, but 13 and running 8, it just don't go together.
I know, but I mean, back in, I mean, there was several cars in the figure 8.
Oh, yeah. It was good.
And, I mean, there's a lot of good racing. And, I mean, you had your fast cars that was up front, and then you kind of had a medium pack, and then you had some slow cars. So, I mean, they was always putting on a show.
And plus, you did have Dwayne Talley driving. I mean,
oh, yeah, no doubt.
Like, you're already down one notch right there. and I know, because I rode with him to Roanoke, Virginia one time, and that was a trip, I'm telling you. But anyway, moving right along. Well, one thing before we do, I did notice in them pictures, there was a lot of dark hair in that picture. And slimmer body.
Don't think he's wearing glasses either.
What? Oh, that's right. The big thing, no glasses. What's happened?
20 years.
1988. Hey, and I tell you what, he could come back on that, because I mean, we ain't showing my picture from 20 years ago, and Billy's either 20. Well, Billy probably wasn't born. Was he born back 20 years ago?
Yeah, but I wasn't very old. But,
all right, Billy, ask him the first question.
Rick actually got me started in racing. My dad was driving sandwich trucks, started taking me around A1, and you know, Willard Stamper had the bus down there, and Rick had the Mustangs. And
the bus, you need to tell people what the bus is.
That was a dominant figure 8 car. It was a 64 Chevelle.
It wasn't really a bus, was it?
No, 65. And I mean, that car was pretty much untouchable.
It was a bad car.
I mean, it was a bad machine. And you know, I got talking to Rick, and then when I got my driver's license, I started driving and helping Rick on the car, and you know, he really taught me a lot of stuff over the years.
We actually had an enduro car together.
That's right. That was really kind of our first car together.
But you know, being the kind of guy Rick is, I know he's real polite and everything. He probably wished you wouldn't tell everybody that you learned a lot from the way you drove.
Well, actually, I think he kind of is thinking, you know, this is my good deed by letting him help me here. You know, kind of help the handicap, you might say. But you know, Rick, we've had a lot of fun over the years and had a lot of good times. But one thing it's always I always wondered about, you know, I was helping you on the forwards and everything was pretty much dominated by Chevrolet. But yet, you and there was another driver, Jeff Bush, both of y'all had forwards.
I thought you said driver.
Well,
oh, you talking about Jeff?
I was using that term loosely. But you know, I mean, really, you had a very competitive car. But why did you choose that Ford when all these Chevrolets was running up front?
Well, the track opened in '85, and my dad, when we grew up, that's all we had was Fords, and then I had souped up Fords running around on the street, and had a lot of parts for a Ford, and we had a salvage yard, and had an old '69 Mustang sitting back there, so put a cage in it and went.
Was it, you built what, 3 Mach 1s, '69 Mustangs?
2.
Was it 2?
2, yeah.
Because I remember a black and red one, and then a white and red one, and then an orange one.
The white and red one and the black and red one was the same
car.
Well,
was that the same car?
Same car.
Okay. But, I mean, those was 2 beautiful cars. I mean, and still today, the amount of detail that was on those cars, I mean, the striping that you had, the lettering, it was all hand-lettered. I mean, 2 beautiful cars. They're still 2 of my favorites.
Bobby Clark?
Those 2 cars, Terry Searles did those cars.
Yeah. I know Bobby done a lot. I didn't know who done yours. I always like to aggravate Rick about running the Ford, because I'm a Chevrolet person. But be honest with you, I had one of the baddest cars I probably ever had growing up was a Mach 1, and it was a tough little old car. I used to drag it to about Beach Bend. But
it had to be old now. But especially if he was in it.
Yeah, if it went very fast, well, I didn't always wasn't always his size. But it was a good little car. But I do like to aggravate Rick. He's always aggravated me. He calls me Slow Dale. and he likes to aggravate me there. So now we got him on the show, and we'll aggravate him a little bit. Rick, moving right along, when was the first, do you remember when you first started racing, when you got into actually racing a stock car on track?
Yeah, 1985 when Dallas opened the track.
So when Dallas opened back up, and was that the Mustang you were talking about? That was the first car he built?
Yep.
Well, then that brings Billy to his question.
Yeah. You raced a lot. Like you said, you started back in '85. When was your first win?
My first win, actual me driving, was 1987.
'87.
And it was in the Blue Granada.
Believe it or not. Now you actually raced that car a year and a half.
Yes.
Because it was pretty much solid blue the first year. And then I remember the second year. In fact, Jeff Bush, I believe, painted that car, didn't he?
Yes.
The second year?
Yeah, Jeff painted the second year.
So you're talking about the picture that we showed on TV, not the blue, when you raced that one as a blue car one year, and then the half a year until it got tore up as the blue with the silver stripe on the bottom.
Now, I've got to bring this story up here.
Oh.
That blue car, the second year that Rick raced it, all winter long, we got the new body panels on it, got the doors fixed, quarter panels smooth, good looking paint job, and I believe it was a fuel pump that went out in the heat race or something like that, or while we was qualifying. So we worked on that, and that put Rick toward the back of the pack. Well, they dropped the green flag. First thing Rick does is, I believe somebody cuts over to the driver's side door, knocks it in. Then, of course, that kind of aggravates him a little bit, and there's a slower car in the way, so Rick decides to move him. Of course, it's got a fiberglass front end on this Granada. That's busted.
All in one race?
Yeah, and it seems like maybe even the rear quarter got knocked in a little bit. But, I mean, Rick was going to the front with that car. He was determined to win that race that night, and that's one thing that's always stuck through my mind.
So, all right, we know you won your first race. A big question that probably a lot of the other drivers may want to know is, Rick, why and what was the reasoning for you switching over to driving the Chevrolet? Because the fans now know you as driving the Chevrolet, but the fans, the older fans and the ones that went there before know you always was in some kind of Ford. So why did you switch to the Chevrolet?
Well, it was because the Fords I was building were unibody cars, and wrecked 3 in 1 year, and I mean not real serious wrecks, a couple of them, and it bent them up so bad you couldn't fix them, and just for durability.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, that's why I think a lot of the guys used to run the Camaros out there, and they kind of got away from that because they were unibody cars. And I know the figure 8 guys. I mean, they scared me to death out there running them Camaros in the figure 8, but being like that.
Which by durability, he's meaning the cars he's running now has a full frame.
Right, they're not.
It's not sheet metal, basically spot welded together.
Yeah.
Because for the folks who don't know, well, actually, Rick, you tell them what's the difference between the frame and the full frame body? It's not tied together.
Well, you can actually unbolt the body and take it off of a full frame car, and the unibody car, it's just made all together. It's just sheet metal pop riveted together, basically, or spot welded together, like he said.
So it's easier. It's a little dangerous. More like if they hit you right in the door, so it could cut the car in half pretty easy, really.
Yeah, but I wasn't having that problem. The front ends on them was just so weak. When you hit it, it bent everything up, and you couldn't straighten it back out.
Okay.
Well, back in all these years, is there a favorite or special time in racing that you really stands out?
Well, 1996.
1996.
Won 15 races in 1996.
Now, was that figure 8 and oval track that year, or?
No, it was just oval track.
Just oval?
Just oval track. Won 13 races in Sportsman, and I drove Pete Barber's car 4 times in the, I guess back then it was called Super Street, I'm not sure. And we won 2 races with it.
I forgot about you driving for Pete Barber. You drove him for a pretty good while, didn't you?
Just 1 year.
Okay. Well, he asked you what your special time was. Now, we ask about everybody that comes on here. So far, we've asked them, who is your favorite or your idol in racing? It doesn't have to be a driver, but who would be somebody that you looked up to and wanted to be like in the racing industry?
My dad was my idol. Of course, what him and Wayne Miller and Reuben done's legendary around these parts. But as far as my favorite driver, all-time driver, it's Bill Elliott, and David Pearson real close second. But
No, I thought you kind of got away from Bill Air for a little bit when he kind of started switching to Dodge. And
They heard all them Ford guys. They liked all of them.
oh, I know it.
Dale
Since it's with the Wood Brothers, you
Dale
started
Jarrett
liking
kind of filled the void back then.
What's so funny about it is you're talking about the dynasty with